Beth, hi, how are you?
Hello, I'm doing great. How about you?
Good, good. Um, I really enjoyed watching your show, watching Leverage Redemption. But I'm very curious
Good.
about
Oh,
it
I'm so
because,
glad to hear that.
yeah, I'm very curious because, when I saw the photo of you on set doing your sort of distance table read, everyone wearing face shields, going to shoot it in New Orleans when, you hadn't shot there before. How do you feel about this show? How do you feel? Do you
Yeah.
feel like it's a continuation of Leverage? Do you feel like it's something different? What did it feel like coming back to set to film this show?
Well, it felt incredible. I think first and foremost, it couldn't have come at a better time, I think, for everybody. There's been a lot of anticipation about this show coming back in various forms, spin-offs, maybe a movie, maybe this, maybe that. And the fan base has been so supportive and loud and consistent that the audience just kept growing and growing. And so when Amazon and our producer got together, it was like, wow, this fan base has just continued to grow. This is incredible. This is a message that really resonates with people. So where are they now? Like, what would it be now? And so the first show, Leverage, was about revenge, really. It was about all of us righting wrongs and finding each other for the right reasons. We were all a bit of a lone wolf individually, and then we got together and formed this team and realized we were better together as a group, and we could achieve more and do better things. This time around, it's really about second chances. Redemption is the perfect word for that. Basically, with all the change comes a lot of growth, and it was 8 years ago that we left these characters, so a lot's happened and a lot's changed. We've got Parker, Hardison, and Elliot running international teams, and Sophie's found herself in a situation that she can't quite get out of, and the team decides to go back and pick her up and remind her of the powerful badass that she is. And so we also are introduced to two new characters. We've got Elise Shannon, who plays Hardison's little sister, Brianna. And then we've got Noah Wiley playing Harry Wilson. And the circumstances that we find both of these guys are really fun and really cool. And as we keep going, we discover, oh, we got to help this guy. We're going to help him because it's for the right reasons. And with Brianna, she's right where she needs to be. She's right in the right place, and Parker is going to look after her just like the rest of the team.
Certainly your theme of, stealing from the rich, or, giving the rich people what they deserve, that's aged extremely well. I find a lot of the show a lot of it's really transformed over the last little while. And, when I'm dipping into this show, going back to the original one, it feels like it's really, it's aged extremely well. And it's also become really current in a lot of ways. How do you feel like the show has grown in the last little while?
I love that you just said that, because when I went back and watched the episodes before we started filming, I had already been watching and then finished rewatching just to remind myself of all the moments and the beats. And I thought, man, the show really holds up. It really still makes you feel good. You laugh, you cry, like all of those beats are still resonating with audiences. This time around, I think we've got the advantage of technology shifts. Elise's character brings a whole new voice for the millennials and opportunities to talk about subjects that are really important for her character, and culturally very important conversations people are having right now. I think the dynamic of what we do has intensified because the bad guys and the crime level and just what people are capable of has become really apparent. I mean, it's gotten so much worse in some ways that the stakes are really high in some of these episodes, and the tone goes pretty dark in some of these episodes. And I would say we're pushing that a little bit further, but always balancing it, because we still wanted to keep that fun, and we wanted to keep the show 6 feet off the ground, not 10 feet off the ground. And that levity is really important, because that's why your whole family can watch the show and really get something out of it. So I think we kept that tone within the range that people are going to want and expect and look forward to. And it comes at a time when people really do want the bad guys to suffer. And we're all a bit like pent up, right? We've been in our houses for a long time. So the fact that you can see these guys getting out, kicking some ass, and doing what they do best. It's fun. And I think it's escapism, but it's also stuff you can really relate to. And it's with these characters that are so beloved, and people are going to be so happy to see their faces back on the screen, I think, based on the feedback we've gotten so far. So you've got that familiarity, and there is something kind of comforting about that.
Reading about the show, sort of the click came from me when I had read that it was sort of like a bit of a throwback show in a way to Rockford Files, to Mission Impossible, to those sort of shows, but certainly within a contemporary context. Do you see it in that way?
It's funny, I guess the Ocean's 11 vibe was always kind of, that resonated with me because there's always a wink, there's always a bit of a touch of humor and fun to what we do as well. But this time, yeah, we're digging in a bit deeper. And with Harry's character, we're experiencing some of these things because he's come into the fold, and it brings a new element that's exciting and also a bit, unexpected. So I think that, yeah, I guess I could see that being related. And I do love, we've pushed some of the stunts further this year, and there's a lot of Elliot fighting, which people are going to be really excited about. But I gotta say, like, every episode, he always would have fights, but this time around it just felt like we're pushing, like, what everybody does, we're trying to push it even further in certain moments, and we have the freedom to do that now, really. And I hope we can push it even further going forward.
Mm-hmm. How does it feel to bring in, what your show does so well is that, you bring in Noah Wiley, who wasn't previously a part of it. And the way that he interacts and directs one of your episodes too, it's not in the way that necessarily we would expect. It doesn't become like a top-down kind of thing. You've really sort of shuffled the ranks a little bit in terms of the organization. And certainly with Parker, you grow a lot too, and have grown. So, how does it feel to integrate, to reintegrate new people?
Yeah, that's a great question. It felt really exciting because so much of what we do, and I think why the show works with these characters, is because of the energy that we feed off of with one another and what we give to the other scene partner. We're always bouncing things back and forth. So obviously, plot wise, that we were going to go on a different journey here, but having these two amazing actors come and bring what they bring was really exciting to all of us. And we thought, oh, we can play with the power in moment to moment ways, in a new, fresh kind of way at the same time. And that was really exciting to all of us. And, we've got 3 strong female leads, and this is really fucking cool. Not a lot of shows were doing that. I mean, John Rogers and Chris Downey created the original show, but all of our, the female roles were strong from the get-go. So now that we've got a third and we're pushing the envelope a little bit more, that was super exciting to me. And you do get the sense in the team, like, Harry's not going to come in and start telling us what to do. He needs us, and we're really doing him the favor by bringing him in, but we see why, and it's important to the group. But with Brianna, she's going to learn, and she's going to bring this new set of skills that she has, but she's going to come up through the ranks. So you get that mentoring and support in all these ways, still, but without throwing the power balance to where you're like, wait, we still want to see the team leading and being in charge. But the amount of young girls that have reached out to me over the last 10 years to say, like, oh my gosh, Parker can be awkward and funny, and she doesn't fit in like everybody else, but she's like, I love her. And just all those things, those are the reasons why I love playing this character, but also why I love to surround myself with other awesome, strong women, which we have on this show too. So it's super cool.
Yeah, I was going to say, one of your episodes in particular, I don't think the men are even in it. They're not even like a part of it. That I really like.
Yeah, we did.
Develop.
Yeah, and the boys get the boys' night out, we get the girls' night out. So there's the balance, because we love them a lot too. We don't want to not see those guys in every episode either. But it is fun to transition and see what the boys are getting up to when we're not there, and vice versa.
So I think it's really interesting too that when the show had sort of concluded its original run, you were doing a lot. It was sort of the beginning of like the YouTube and the web broadcasts and that sort of thing. And you were paired a lot with Aldous Hodge. And I think it's really interesting what your show does with him, that, he comes back, he's in a couple of episodes, but, then you're building off of that. I had a chance to talk with him in the interim, I think for Star Trek. Such an interesting
Mhm.
person, really interesting to see what he's doing in the industry right now as well too. So, how did it
Yeah.
feel to reunite with him and sort of, use that as a bit of a jumping off point?
He's a dream. I love him with my whole heart. He's family to me. And watching his career soar and him grow as a human being and artist has been one of my favorite things in this life. But really it's comforting. Like, we've all stayed in touch, so Aldous and I would still meet up and still talk and always keep in touch. And I love his family and he loves mine. And so having the pleasure of knowing, he and I actually we he's been acting since he was a kid, but in a way we were kind of the newbies on the show. And the day that they brought our chairs, our set chairs, where we relax and hang out, they brought them in and our names were on the back of a chair, and it didn't just say guest star, and it
Mm.
actually said that. We looked at each other, grabbed each other, ran around a corner and started jumping up and down, silently screaming because we were so excited. We were like, and it's like, oh my gosh, we're on a show where we are a character and we get our name on a chair, but I have those types of moments with him. So he's always gonna, be part of my heart and be part of my journey in this business in a special way. But I also know he's an incredible painter. He plays violin, he makes watches, and has an amazing mind for design and aesthetic. And I'm just thrilled for what he's gonna do. I was texting with him this morning, actually. So
Oh.
yeah,
Well,
it's
I
good.
I could tell of the closeness because him and his brother were both in your first short film that you wrote and directed.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
certainly I could see from those that, you surrounded yourself with the people that you wanted to be working with, that they were very
Mhm.
much, a labor of love, and also people that you wanted to be around. Um,
Absolutely.
they were both really, really interesting, both of your short films, because they're quite similar in tone, wordless as well too. And
Yeah,
you're going to be directing 2 episodes of Leverage Redemption, and I imagine that those short films were a big part of sort of transitioning into becoming a director.
absolutely. Yeah, thanks for all that. I started out as a photographer in high school, so not a lot of people know that about me. And then I did continue shooting even when I moved to LA. And then I did a road trip across America with 2 other artists, and I made a documentary, and we had an exhibition, and the LA Times loved it. And that is how I met the company that commissioned me to do A Standard Story, which was my first short film. And it was meant to be a sort of collab video for the Swedish apparel line and the Standard hotels. But I said, I'll do it as long as I can make a short film out of it. And they said, okay, yeah, sure. And so all the people that were associated with this company I put in it, they were all different artists and friends and people I loved. And Allison, his brother Edwin, agreed to do it too. And I even had Peter Stormare in there, who was in a
Mhm.
Leverage episode. And he actually happened to be affiliated with the Swedish apparel line as well, because they would sponsor all these cool artists. So that they gave me full reign on. And I've always been a fan of silent film. And so I decided to do kind of an Alice in Wonderland trippy story. And that went over really well. And then I kept going from there. And, acting got pretty busy. So I continued to shoot, but a little bit less than I did before. And was always interested in directing and filmmaking. So I would shadow, I would take courses, I would do anything I could to keep sharpening my skills and learning and honing. And Dean Devlin saw that, and he knew I always had a passion for directing and wanting to do it. So when Leverage Redemption came about, he said, and I know you're ready, so I want you to direct. And I was thrilled and so excited. And so that's how that came to be. And during the lockdown, I shot my second film, which you saw as well, Male Companion. And my 17-year-old son actually shot it for me because he's a cinematographer. And my partner helped me produce it, and we made it in 24 hours with just what we could get curbside. So I'm always looking to do something, wherever I am, whatever my resources are, it's very much in me to create stories. I love it.
And I noticed that, the short revolves in a large part around the Amazon delivery, which is sort of the anchor for a lot of people during this time. Maybe also
Yeah.
a nod to Leverage Redemption, that IMDb TV is affiliated with Amazon.
I think it was totally serendipitous, but it was not intentionally done that way. I think my imagination just went on a run of there was so much loss and sadness happening at the time when I made that. And I thought, what would you do if you were so lonely? Like, what does this isolation do? And how far would it push someone for companionship? And that was really the impetus, for that, and or the catalyst, I guess I should say, for that concept. But it's funny that it ended up kind of coming full circle with Amazon. Yeah.
What's been your favorite fan encounter or fan interaction?
Oh, wow. I actually had something kind of cool happen. I did my first play at the Hartford stage, and with Darko Tresnik, who directed, and Samuel Baum. It was his first play, but I had worked with him on a pilot called The Surgeon General with Jason Isaacs and a couple of others, Michael Coulter and some folks. And Sam and I connected, and randomly this thing came about, and I'd always wanted to do theater. And Sam, I had to audition and do the thing, and it worked out. And I found myself there, and the whole experience was incredible. But after one of the shows, I walked out, and there was a Leverage fan in the lobby waiting to see me. And someone said, "There's somebody here," and it just blew my mind. It just blew my mind that somebody would come travel to Hartford to see the play and wait it out and hang out to see me, and had nothing but love still for the show and what's done for them in their life. And then they enjoyed the play. And so that whole experience was pretty magical, but that was like a full circle moment as well. Like, wow, this is incredible. I feel very humbled, and it was really special.
People have a lot of thoughts about Stranger Things and about Billy and about Billy's mother. The fan theories and the Reddit, people are saying, did he start evil? Was it his family situation? Is that why he went to the mind flayer? Such an incredible, Stranger Things 3 is really an incredible season. You're a part of that in a big way. Some people have theories you might even come back for Stranger Things 4. But what do you feel like? How do you feel like your role within that show really sort of deepens the universe, and how did it deepen for you?
It's amazing, isn't it? Because you can have a character that there's not a lot of words, there's not a lot of scenes, there's not a whatever, but when they pop up at the right moment in a very, in one of your lead character's backstory, and it fills in all these blanks and then poses, like you said, all these new questions. It was fun. I mean, it was so fun. And the scale of that show is amazing. And the director, Uda, she actually was the DP on a show I did, Complications, way back when. And I remember having a conversation with her about directing, and she's like, well, only 2% of cinematographers are female, so getting into directing was really tough. And then here, full circle, I didn't even know she was going to be directing, and I'm on set with her again. She's directing Stranger Things. Now she's off doing Wheel of Time. So for me, that show, it was very significant for a lot of ways for me, but also the actual show is phenomenal, and I was so excited. And they're really tight-lipped about the storylines, right? So I wasn't sure if there was going to be more, what's going to happen, this or that. Obviously, I would love to do more, but I don't know what's on the cards because it's very secretive.
Yeah. So interesting too, the way even that you get introduced in that flashback scene on the beach. She's pretty. That's the line about you, which was nice to see. But then the whole mythology
sweet,
from
but
it.
From a kid's perspective too, it's just like this comforting mother vibe, and what the Billy we know, and the juxtaposition of his past to his present and all that. It was really powerful. It was such a beautiful moment. And I think Uda, she also has a way of shooting that's just seamless and really beautiful. And then mixing it with the darkness and everything. It was such a fun role. I wish it was even more, but yeah.
I do have to mention that too, and you touched upon it, that you are a mother of a son, that your son had such an integral role in your short and shot it for you. So, what does that mean for you in terms of your roles?
Oh, wow. Yeah. Well, I had him at a young age. So I was having experiences as a mother when my friends were still going out and partying, and having a kid really shifts your perspective entirely. So whatever desperation or whatever, when you're first getting into this industry, if any of that exists, it just washes away, and it gets very clear what you have to do, and I was looking to support my son and pay my mortgage and figure out what I was going to do. And Leverage actually came along. I gave myself a 3-month timeline, and I was like, all right, I know I can go back to photography. I know I can do whatever I need to do, but I'm going to give myself 3 months to try and book something substantial here. And in that time, I booked Leverage. So it really came at the perfect time in my life as a mother. And it afforded me, the opportunity to travel with my son and bring him with me. He, until now, now he's 17, but when he was younger, he went on every job with me. We traveled together. We were always together. So his experience growing up, so much of what he remembers are being moments like being in the prop truck with our guy JPD, who still did the show this time around, and Gary, our camera operator, and Dave, our DP. Like, he knows all these guys like family. So it's shaped his life as well, this show, in a really beautiful way. But my career overall, like, yeah, I would say so much of it has been what's the best thing for my family and my son, and how can I continue to grow and set a really good example of a strong female figure in his life, and all those roles. You hope that you get the right roles that inspire young girls to do the same thing, but also that you set that example for your kid as well.
What kind of shows have really resonated for you? What kind of movies and shows have you really gone to?
Yeah, absolutely. I love everything really. I've even learned to love horror films because of the art of shooting and creating suspense. And I was always so scared of those things as a kid.
Mm.
But I've been recently, drawn to great dramas like Mayor of Easttown. I have been a fan of Kate Winslet's forever. And then watching Jean Smart in that role versus Hack, I think she's phenomenal as well. Watching my shorts, I bet you wouldn't be surprised to hear that I loved the show Sweet Tooth. It has,
No, yeah,
real surreal, kind of fun, fantastical element to it, which I love that. Been watching a lot of, I love comedy, I love revisiting shows like Arrested Development, but then I also love supporting my friends. Like Aldous has had so many great shows come out, and One Night in Miami, obviously, and all the other things he's been doing. But yeah, I just try to stay up to date with what's happening, and I like things that make you feel good, like Ted Lasso was such a great show, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, mixing it up really.
Did it feel like you were sort of picking up where you left off? Do you feel like you've grown with the character? Parker is such an interesting character because she's been through a lot, but then comes through it even stronger, takes on a sort of more of a maybe more of a leadership role. What would have been some of sort of those key moments for you for filming this show, for making this show, and for breathing with it?
Yeah, some of the key moments in terms of her growth. Yeah, we were very careful with not letting go of the things that we didn't want to normalize Parker. We didn't want to make her like anyone else. She can't be, right? Because otherwise she's not who she is. Her mind is this magical place. And so to me, it was really important to show growth, but also not to lose her essence. And so we had a lot of conversations about that in the beginning. And I think it was like, all right, she can hold it together and she can lead and she can, direct and do all these things. But man, inside, she's just itching to jump off a building, and then she just like missing that side of things too, because she has, she can do something with wild abandonment and not think twice about it. So there were some moments, even in the first episode when Hardison has to go do something that's really, really important, it kind of breaks her heart that the reality of the danger he's putting himself in is really tough for her, because obviously she doesn't want to lose him, but we've shown that already. So we have to see her have the thought, feel it, but then ultimately do its best for the mission of the team. And that's a different phase for her, right? It's a different reaction than she would have maybe had before. So I think seeing her essence there always, whether it's with a dramatic moment or a comedy moment, was really important. And then in moments when she's with Sophie, really pushing her and guiding her, it's a bit of a reversal, because Sophie used to have to do that for her all the time. So it was nice to see Parker be able to show up for Sophie in ways, and because she knows her, get away with, pushing her buttons a little bit in the best way. And with Elliot, it was great because there's moments where you'll see Elliot's taught Parker some things, and then Parker's had to teach him some things. And there's some moments of levity where, they're having a fight because somebody wouldn't show up for thief practice or stunt practice or whatever it was. And, they're having that sibling rivalry stuff still. So I think we did a good balance of you know, where is she now in terms of this power? She sits comfortably in it. She knows what she's doing. She's not afraid to do it, but she's also still at heart a part of this family and can still be unpredictable. And thank goodness for that, because that's what makes it so fun.
I just wanted to say, I remembered earlier when you were talking about horror films, your film, it seemed to have many different names, Shut In or Intruders.
Yeah.
That was a really, really, really good film. That was a strong movie. I really enjoyed
thanks.
that one.
You saw that? That's awesome. Thank you. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
a lot of fun. That was a tough, I mean, the cast was fantastic. Martin Starr and Jack Hesse and Rory Culkin and Jack Hesse, like everybody was amazing. We did that in 14 days, all nights in Shreveport. It was so hard, but it was fun. And I, you know, I hoped it would find its place. I think it has. Certain people who, like, you know, have seen it, they love it. That was part of me conquering my fear of those movies, Charles.
And just one last thing I wanted to ask too. It's so funny to think about. Through Parker, do you feel like you've become a better thief?
I mean, that would imply I was already a thief, you know? So
Or the mindset,
Yeah,
maybe,
listen.
the mentality, I don't know.
Yeah, you know, it's pretty fantastic. I think the art of distraction is really a skill that's underrated. So when I worked with Apollo Robbins the first time around, I learned so much. It was terrifying about what actually occurs in the world. And he had so many good stories, but it was terrifying. It definitely made me more aware and alert to the things that are possible when traveling and whatever. But yeah, absolutely. I really understood at one point, I would try to unlock things with this kit they gave me, and I started being able to do it. And I was like, oh, this could be addicting. Like I kind of get why you get away with it, and this little misbehavior becomes a pattern. You get in a lot of trouble with that. I never stole anything, you know, with my Parker skills in real life, since learning how to do it. But I imagine I would be a better thief now.
You didn't even take anything from the set?
Ooh, yeah, no, maybe. Never gonna tell.
Right. That's the skill. That's the good thief skill. Don't say a word about it.
Yeah, you'll never know.
Beth, I want to thank you so much. It was such a pleasure getting to hear from you and speak with you today.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure for me as well. Thank you.